If you've ever set foot in a university, opened a hospital door, or even read a book, you owe more to the medieval Catholic Church than you might think. For centuries, the Middle Ages have been painted as a time of ignorance and superstition, an era of torches, torture, and tyranny. But what if the truth is the exact opposite? What if, instead of suppressing civilization, the medieval church actually saved it? After the collapse of the Roman Empire, Europe descended into chaos. Roads fell apart, cities crumbled, and literacy all but vanished. But in that darkness, one institution stayed standing: the Catholic Church. Inside cold stone monasteries scattered across the continent, monks worked by candlelight, copying every surviving text they could find, from the Bible to the writings of Aristotle and Cicero. These men became the guardians of human knowledge, preserving the wisdom of the ancient world for centuries, until Europe was ready to rediscover it. One of the first to realize the Church's importance was Charlemagne, king of the Franks, the man historians call the father of Europe. He dreamed of uniting his fractured lands, not through war alone, but through learning. So in the year 789, he ordered monasteries and cathedrals to open schools for boys, to teach reading, writing, music, and scripture. The result was nothing less than an educational revolution. The Church didn't just assist Charlemagne, it was his education system. Monks became teachers, priests became administrators, and the seeds of Europe's first universities were planted in church soil. Those schools gave birth to some of the greatest minds in history. Thomas Aquinas, a Dominican friar, wove together faith and reason to create the intellectual backbone of Western philosophy. At the University of Paris and Oxford, founded by churchmen, students studied theology, medicine, and law, long before any secular education existed. The Church, often accused of hating science, was in fact its midwife. The early scientists, like Roger Bacon, a Franciscan friar, were products of this very system. But the Church wasn't just building minds, it was also building conscience. In an age where kings ruled by might, the Church dared to claim there was a higher law, God's law, that even monarchs must obey. Through the Peace of God and Truce of God movements, bishops across France tried to curb the endless bloodshed of feudal war. They demanded knights swear oaths to protect the weak, women, children, peasants, and priests. For the first time in history, the powerful were being told, there are people you cannot harm. And when kings ignored that message, the Church had the courage to stand against them. The clash between Pope Gregory VII and Emperor Henry, IV, known as the Investiture Controversy, was one of the most dramatic moments in medieval Europe. Henry tried to appoint bishops loyal to him. Gregory excommunicated him. The emperor was forced to kneel barefoot in the snow for 3 days outside the Pope's residence, begging for forgiveness. That wasn't just a power struggle. It was a declaration that moral authority stands above political authority. It was the beginning of a revolutionary idea. No man, not even a king, is above the law. From this tension, canon law was born, the Church's own legal system, independent of royal courts. It introduced principles like due process, rights of appeal, and equality before moral law, ideas that would later shape the Magna Carta and modern Western justice. The Church didn't just preach virtue, it built the legal foundations for it. But perhaps the Church's most human legacy was compassion. Long before governments cared for the sick or poor, monasteries did. The rule of Saint Benedict, written in the 6th century, ordered monks to treat the sick as if they were Christ himself. Monasteries became the first hospitals and shelters in Europe. They fed the hungry, treated the ill, and gave refuge to travelers, all without asking for payment. By the 11th century, that spirit of mercy inspired the creation of one of history's most remarkable organizations, the Knights Hospitaller. Founded in Jerusalem, they built massive hospitals capable of caring for over 1,000 patients at once, complete with separate wards for different illnesses, professional physicians, and even female caregivers. And here's the part few remember. They treated Muslims, Jews, and Christians alike. In an age of crusades, they practiced something even more radical. charity without borders. So while kings fought for land and glory, monks and nuns were quietly changing the world. They ran orphanages, built bridges, and cultivated new farming methods that fed entire villages. The church's calendar, with its feast days, fasts, and Sabbaths, gave medieval workers a rhythm of rest and celebration that no empire had ever offered. Yes, there were dark moments, inquisitions, corruption, wars fought in God's name. But step back, and the larger picture becomes clear. When empires fell, the church remained. When literacy vanished, the church revived it. When tyranny reigned, the church restrained it. It was not a perfect institution, but it was the backbone of a civilization struggling to survive. Historian Thomas E. Woods once wrote, "The Catholic Church built Western civilization, not alone, not perfectly. But without it, there might not have been a civilization left to build on." He wasn't exaggerating. The hospitals you visit, the schools you attend, the laws that protect you, all trace their ancestry back to those monks, popes, and friars who believed knowledge, justice, and compassion were sacred duties. So the next time someone calls the Middle Ages dark, remind them that the light of civilization was kept burning, not in palaces, but in monasteries. The medieval church didn't just save souls, it saved the world. If you enjoyed this journey through forgotten history, make sure to hit subscribe, because the past isn't gone. It's still shaping the world we live in today.